The Human Driving Association. Alex, why don't you turn around and tell us, are humans going to be augmented, or are they going to be replaced by what we're listening to here about automated technology?
There are people who should not be driving, and for those people, I hope that autonomous vehicles arrive as soon as possible. But for the rest of us, I think that we'd be better off with augmented vehicles that don't allow us to make mistakes, but allow us to retain control over the car. And I think in the future, the perfect car is going to have both those systems. You're going to go into a city, you're going to cross a geofence, the car will automatically go to autonomous control. And when you leave the geofence, say the island of Manhattan, you'll have a choice of going back to human control with safety systems or autonomy if it's capable of operating, say, in New Jersey.
So that safety system is an important part of it. It sounds like keeping people in the rails, I guess, right?
Well, you can't morally, if you have the technology to prevent accidents, you can't, from a moral standpoint, not offer it, at least as an option, if not mandate it. But you also need to respect just human agency and the desire for control. So to mate those two things together, you need to have guardrails. And so if I turn my steering wheel into a wall or into a person, it turns away. And that system is very different from the type of systems that a lot of people want to foist on us, which force us into cars like Black Mirror and then make us watch ads.
And that's a very interesting scenario. I mean, you have one scenario where it's kind of the extension of the cell phone, the other scenario where it becomes an extension of you, I guess.
Oh, well, that is the fundamental difference between people. Do they want to be consumers of life or creators?
Now, you've done some pretty creative things, and I think it's real important to tell us a little bit about your background. You're a record holder of the Cannonball Run multiple times, right?
I have set multiple Cannonball records, but day to day I take the subway, the bus, I walk, I use City Bike in New York where I live. But, a couple times a year I do go out and do these things. I wouldn't say I recommend cannonballing as a hobby, but it's a great teacher because for every hour one spends in a car, you have to spend days, weeks, or months planning, which is the opposite of how most people take driving, which can be dangerous for the untrained.
And you're talking about some pretty fast times across America, right?
I did drive cross country in 31 hours once, which was an average speed of close to 100 miles an hour. And that record was in fact broken. Someone else did it in 28:50. So I prefer not to talk about those things.
Okay, we won't, but we will talk about the Human Driving Association. Tell us how that fits into all this.
So the Human Driving Association is a safety organization which grew out of a joke, which was that I kept meeting people who are opposed to automation and autonomy and kind of think of it like guns and freedom, like, don't take away my freedom. And I thought that people who are responsible drivers, who love driving, like myself, who understand how automation works, should actually create an organization that respects, accepts, and foments the adoption of automation that makes human driving safer as soon as possible. Why should we wait 10 years for autonomy, or 20 or 50, if we can improve safety now by combining automation with human input? Commercial aviation and military aviation have made it very clear that the optimal system combines automation with trained humans, and that's what we seek on the streets.
Excellent. Well, Alex, I appreciate meeting you and appreciate your time.
Thanks, Ken.
Thanks.